All right, well, switching gears a bit here, the $30 billion pot product market is filled with vapes and edibles, but one biotech company has developed a cutting-edge cannabis delivery system in the form of a dissolvable patch.
Wow.
Yeah, the patch ensures proper absorption and eliminates dosage errors, basically makes it easier to consume.
It's like a Listerine-like sheet almost.
We can't give it away just yet. Joining us now is Eitan Zakarin. He's the CEO of GCANRx. It's great to have you with us, Eitan. So it is a patch. We said that. I think you got one here. Show it and explain how it works.
Sure. So let me just give you a bit of a context here. So I think it's, by way of introduction, important to state that the industry, the cannabis industry, has just exploded, leaps and bounds. You're seeing, triple-digit year-over-year revenue growth. You're seeing consolidation in the industry, multi-billion-dollar acquisitions. Something that hasn't been really focused on so much is the fact that the vast majority of cannabis consumers are still using combustible products, smoking, vaping, and the problem with that is that there's detriments involved with that, right? There's health issues, and there's also problems with actually knowing exactly how much is in what the consumer is taking in. Studies have shown time and time again that what's being represented in the packaging is not exactly what the consumer is actually taking in terms of cannabinoids. So we've developed what we think is a very good solution for this. We have a product that's called an eluting transmucosal patch.
Oh my gosh, so show our viewers right here in this camera right here.
Now,
and this, by the way, is a CBD patch, by the way.
This is a CBD only patch.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
About the size of a Listerine patch.
It looks very much like a Listerine patch, right? Now, this is very much different from a Listerine patch. A Listerine patch, when you put it in your mouth, it dissolves, it gives you fresh breath, it's minty. This is actually formulated specifically not to dissolve right away. So what happens is you would put this inside your cheek, otherwise known as the buccal mucosa, and that area is very vascular, has a lot of capillaries, and it will absorb to it and actually dissolve over the course of a period of time, anywhere between 10 minutes to hours, depending on how we formulate it.
So should we try this out? Should I try this?
If you'd like to,
yes, let's
you can.
go ahead. Since this is CBD, I'm not going to get arrested for this.
Totally
so
fine.
basically what you do with this, and it looks, by the way, like a piece of tape, by the way. It's very tiny and shiny.
What's the texture like?
It feels like a piece of tape. It literally, the texture feels like a piece of tape.
Just put it inside your cheek.
Okay.
Yep, just stick it in there.
Like this?
That's it.
Okay.
And then you can close your mouth, talk normally. You should start
Nobody
to
will ever know
experience,
anything that's
minty
inside my
flavor.
mouth. So I'm intrigued because you're right. There obviously is a huge issue where people are taking too much of a dosage or too little. Nobody knows what they're getting from vapes and so many others.
Right.
So just how much of a market is there for stuff like this?
We think there's a very significant market. Right now, this product that you've just tried is actually not in market. There's not one company out of the handful that are actually focused on delivery technologies such as this that are actually in market right now. So we think this is going to be very innovative and disruptive in a positive way. You forget about the consumers that at the end of the day, not all of them want to smoke or vape, right?
Right.
And they're thinking about their health as well. Primarily, that's why many of them started, taking cannabis if you're looking at it from the medical side. So we think this is a very effective delivery mechanism. It's been tried and tested. We've studied it. And we think that the companies that will ultimately stand out in terms of delivery technologies are the ones that actually have proven and substantiate the technologies through studies time and time again, and that's something that GCANRx has done.
Why is it better for, because by the way, it's almost all completely absorbed into my cheek already by now. Why is it better in terms of absorption to do it in your cheek rather than on your tongue? Because we know with a lot of those strips, they always say put it on your tongue.
Great question. So if you look at the strips that either go on your tongue or underneath your tongue, there's salivary glands right underneath your tongue, and if you were to put the strip there, it would dissolve too quickly, right? And so what you end up having is you would get ingestion through the GI tract, which is where most of the degradation is taking place of these cannabinoids. Actually, studies have shown 4 to 11% bioavailability is what you get when you ingest through swallowing something like an ingestible, consumable. With our technology, you get upwards of 50% bioavailability. And the reason is what I described before, which is that it's a very vascular area on the inside of the cheek. So our cannabinoids that we load onto these thin films will absorb slowly through that vascular layer of tissue and actually slowly go into the bloodstream.
Interesting.
What are the regulatory hurdles that you face in trying to get this, into the mainstream?
So I think generally the regulatory hurdles are the same as the cannabis industry as a whole. You're seeing across the board companies that are operating in the CBD only space, and right now it's a bit of a gray area. The FDA hasn't come out very definitively and said, this is what can be done, this is what can be done. I think that you're going to start seeing a lot more acceptance, and as the regulation becomes a little bit more defined, you're going to start seeing companies that are actually entering the market with new types of technology such as ours. Generally speaking, our go-to-market strategy is not to commercialize the product on our own, but rather to partner with companies that are already operational on a state level, or whether it be our partners to the north in Canada. So these companies already hold licenses to operate and are already in distribution. And our intention and our focus, and actively now, we have partnership discussions ongoing.
And who are those partnerships discussions with?
So we can't fully disclose yet. It's something we haven't communicated to the market. But I will say they are top LPs, multi-billion-dollar companies, ranging from businesses that are strictly cannabis focused, all the way through companies that are also consumer products based and wellness-based products, and all the way through the opposite end of the spectrum, which would be on the pharmaceutical side.
Okay, Baker, quickly, you got to give your review.
I feel relaxed already. I'm sure you and our viewers are going to be so happy because I'm not going to be high energy for the rest of the show.
Eitan Zakarin, CEO of GCANRx. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.